Hey, Kevin, how are you? Thanks for being on our call today.
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And we're so privileged to have the one and only Debbie Irons is going to be leading our call today and interviewing Kevin. And, you know, starting next month, I believe these start in October, right, Ashley?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
We're gonna start having a new series with Donnie Brookman, and he's going to be interviewing agents. So our first session is going to be like a training session on maybe some technology opportunities. Then the second one is going to be strategies on how you build your business. And then our third component is going to be one of the applets. And there's always going to be on the first and third one we're going to have like Q&As. And so I think it's really going to be exciting. And we're still going to have people like you, Debbie and Kevin, on some of these calls with strategies. But we just want to continue because we know after Making Camp, with all the updates and everything, that people are really going to be excited about everything that Command is bringing. Or just technology in general, you know?
Yes, we love Donnie.
So, awesome. Well, Debbie, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Georgia. And hopefully, I don't know if they went ahead and muted everybody. So if everybody could mute, that would be fantastic so we can all hear. For those of you I don't know, I recognize a lot of the faces. I am the team leader at the Orlando Lake Nona office. I was actually an agent in that office for 10 years and built a team in that office. That team still runs, and I had the honor and privilege to become team leader back last October. My goodness, it's almost been a year. So I've worked alongside Mr. Kevin Kendrick for quite a few years and had the pleasure of just watching his business skyrocket. So that's why we wanted to make sure and get him on today, because some of the things that he does are just so different and so amazing. And of course, because he's a relationship builder, he's definitely had to shift. And even in that shift, there's been huge growth. So that's why we definitely wanted to highlight him today and talk about all of the things he does. And it's always super exciting. I've got some examples that I kind of pulled off his Facebook. So we're going to surprise him with that stuff too. And he can kind of tell you a little bit more about that. So I know people will be just jumping on. Like she said, a lot of people are going to run a little bit late, Kevin. So why don't we just start with your background? Because I think that's really relevant to your story.
So welcome, everybody. I know that all of you have somewhere probably better that you can be at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. And so I'm very honored that you chose to spend time with Debbie and I today. And so thank you so much. And so my story, Debbie, I am a 7th generation Floridian. So I am born and bred in the Orlando spirit. I was born in Orlando, graduated from Dr. Phillips High School, grew up off of Oak Ridge Road. Parents moved to the downtown area. But I actually got involved in education. After college, I taught. I was an assistant principal, dean, and I worked for Orange County Public Schools and Florida Virtual School for a combined 22 and a half years. And it was when I was a principal out in Windermere that I got my real estate license. But I worked for, and not, I don't say but not in a bad way. I worked for a mom and pop brokerage, which was perfect. I didn't really do anything, maybe sold $1 million worth of real estate a year. That was in like the 2000s, so when the market was down. Got recruited to come to Keller Williams in 2013. And of course, Rich Carpentier, he said, come to Keller Williams, you're gonna make money, money, money. And I wasn't motivated by money, so I said no. Big mistake. A year later, almost a year to the day, I called Rich back. I said, do you remember me? And he said, yes. I said, I'd like to meet with you. And he said, come to Keller Williams, you're gonna get time. And I'm motivated by time. So long story short, I joined Keller Williams in August of 2014. And and I've been with KW ever since in the Lake Nona office, and it has been a joy. My wife got licensed in 2016, and I think at the beginning of 2016 is when we realized, wow, we can really do this. We had the confidence for her to quit her job and sell homes full time, and it was in October 2015 when we started farming, which is why people are here. And we've seen our business grow every single year. And I wake up every morning and beyond blessed, that my wife and I were both people of faith that, we feel chosen. God chose us to be real estate agents and leaders. We don't take that lightly. We are leaders in the Lake Nona community, and we just happen to be real estate agents. So we're very blessed with the life that God's given us, and blessed that we have people that call us up and say, Kevin, we want to buy a house, or we want to sell a house. And that's a high honor that we get chosen to be, that part of that big decision.
Yeah, I want to highlight one thing that some people still don't know, even though they've been in our office for a long time, is you were actually still working in the school system as you built this business, and you kind of kept it on the down low with your real estate and kept them separate. So I want to talk about that a little bit, and why you did it and how you did that to kind of get out of the business, because I think that's important for a lot of agents out there.
So I kept it on the down low. Most people did not know I was still teaching, but I was also teaching for Florida Virtual School. So I had a little bit more flexibility. It's not like I was in a brick and mortar school. I learned and understood the expectations of Florida Virtual, and I left Florida Virtual on a high note, and I also left with the highest ratings. They grade your students, and parents grade the teachers, and that's how they're really kept or not. Because if you're a bad teacher, they get rid of you. Because it's not a public high school with contracts and things like that. But I stayed. I actually retired May 15th, 2019. So in 2016, we sold $10 million of real estate. We kept going each year. Last year, we finished with $22.5 million. And I did it working for Florida Virtual. I did 4 hours a day with Florida Virtual, and all day Monday with Florida Virtual. And I did the mornings and every time thing around, with real estate. But I never compromised either. If I had a listing appointment and I had a scheduled appointment with a kid, I would tell the kid, hey, I've got an emergency, I can't do it. Or if we're showing homes, maybe I'd say, hey, I need to step outside and make a quick phone call. No one ever knew that I was doing both at the same time. In fact, when I told Rich Carpentieri that I was retiring from public education, this first time he kind of turned white on me. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, I thought you left 4 years ago. And so, yeah, I kept it, and it really gave me the ability to, I had the ability to keep, steady income, but at the same time, it was really, I stayed for insurance and retirement. And here's what I'll say to everyone out there. I make more money in a month than I did in a year as a 22-and-a-half-year veteran in education. And by the way, that money goes into our business account, so not to Kevin Kendrick. So I was hanging on for $1,000 a month insurance and pension. And at the end of the day, we invest in ourselves now, and we invest in the real estate market, and we have a 401k. So I probably hung on for 3 years longer than most people should.
Interesting. And one great thing for the agents that are looking to build their team and bring on agents, teachers make fantastic agents because they already have a servant's heart. They love to educate and help people. So that's a great thing to think about. We've got a lot of teachers that are looking to transition into other careers. So if you are looking to recruit or bring people on, teachers is a beautiful little pool to grab from. So on that, let's go ahead and start in the meat of what we're going to talk about. Why farming? Why did you choose farming, Kevin?
So my wife and I, we're very relational people. I grew up in Orlando. I've still got the same friends that I went to elementary school with, and we still talk and still hang out on a regular basis. And my wife moved to Orlando, I think in like 2006, 2007. And she's very, she's got a tight network of friends, tight network. And, honestly, when I started farming, of course, with Keller Williams, everyone's like, you got to make 20 phone calls a day, 100 phone calls a week and all that. And I was just like, with education, there's no way I was going to make 100 phone calls in a week. So I said, well, what if I just brought 100 people to me? Instead of doing 100 phone calls, let's just do an event and bring 100 people. So I asked my wife, I said, hey, can I buy an inflatable movie screen and a movie projector? We already had the speakers. And so for $500, I invested in our business. And we started doing outdoor movie nights in our community. And I really didn't know what farming was. My definition of farming was probably like many of you. It was postcards and phone calls and circle prospecting. And those are all great, but that's not how we farm. And so the very first movie night we did, it was like the day before Halloween. I think we showed Adam's Family Home Values, and we had about 75 families show up, which translated, with kids, probably about 150 plus people show up. And that was October 2015. And we've continued to farm all the way up until obviously COVID, so spring break. We did our one event in July that we do every single year, but we're getting ready to start back up this month.
Love it. Well, I know we're going to get into events a little bit further, but just to back it up a little bit and talk about the farming, you obviously live in the community that you're farming. Tell me about choosing that community, and there being a dominant agent already in the community. So tell me a little bit about your thought process, because a lot of people have that mental block of, oh, there's a dominant agent, I have to go choose a different community.
Yeah. So first off, you should farm where you live. Kevin, there's only 20 homes in my neighborhood. That's great. That's 19 prospects. Your neighbors need to know you are a real estate agent. If your neighbors don't know you're a real estate agent, then you are a ninja. You're not a real estate agent. So they need to know. And so for me, coming into, I live in North Lake Park in Lake Nona, and an agent in our office, and I'll say his name because Alan, Debbie and I were talking about Alan yesterday. I have a lot of reverence for Alan. He created the We Know Nona. You can go anywhere in Lake Nona without seeing the Maycomber team. And he dominated. Every sign that I would see, I would always see Alan Maycomber. And I was just like, man, that's amazing. In fact, one of my goals in 2015, when I look at my goal sheet, was Alan Maycomber will know my name. And I don't say that in any sense of arrogance or anything. But I just, from 2010 until 2015, I felt like I shouldn't even be in my neighborhood. Why even try to sell homes in Lake Nona? I'm just going to go elsewhere. Well, one day a house went up for sale down the street from me, and I was a ninja real estate agent. And I said, never again. My neighbors need to know who I am. So I started farming North Lake Park. And Alan and I actually do a lot of deals together, which is nice. So, we continue to work together. We're from the same office, we're professionals, and he runs his business a different way. But for me, it did not impact me that I was going to not do it because there was a dominant agent. I did it in spite of a dominant agent. And, there's agents who live in my neighborhood that want to start doing the same things we do. And, it's up to me to maintain what we're currently doing. So I didn't let that stop me. We now farm another neighborhood where I wouldn't say there was a dominant agent, but ironically, at the time, Carrie Light did a lot of activities in the neighborhood. So we were doing activities in the neighborhood together. And we've just never let that, be a crutch. There's enough business for everybody. If Alan Maycomber is successful, that's awesome. That means our office, our market center is making money. If Carrie's successful in Randall Park, that's great. There is enough business for everybody in this world. In fact, my wife, she frequently will say community over competition. And she doesn't like the word competition. So for us, we always want to have great relationships with our neighbors, but we also want to have them with our counterparts. Debbie, you and I, we've done one or two transactions before, and we wanted to be as smooth as possible because we're working together. Yeah. And so, but as far as the dominant agent, if that's a crutch, if that's something mentally, that's a mindset issue. And, it's one of those things that, your mindset should be, I'm going to do community events because people want to be with me. I'm not going to do it because there's a dominant agent. People want to be with me. When we host events, my mindset is we're going to do this event and people are going to show up. No lies. 6 o'clock, we have a movie night, and someone will show up at 6 o'clock and no one has shown up. And I'm like, oh my God, where's everybody at? No one is here. And at 6:15, the field is packed. And so it's a mindset, people want to be with you. People want to be around you. It's that mindset of the old Saturday Night Live. You look good, you feel good, and you're a winner. And so that's the mindset that we have is people want to be with us.
You mentioned something that I absolutely love. So I hope everybody wrote that down. Community over competition. And I wanted to share this because it is so true. Your philosophy from the beginning has always been to go very deep in your relationships, not wide, but deep. You don't pay for leads, that sort of thing. You've built relationships. So I wanted to bring this up. This is part of, you know, all over your website and what you guys believe in your mission. It's relationships matter, community matters.
Mhm.
You guys didn't just choose farming and do it halfway. Like, this is what you guys do. You are face to face, you are in the community, you are active. You're not just sending the postcards, you are building relationships, which I think is so important for everybody to understand today, is that this wasn't farming with postcards and that sort of thing. This was all about relationships. So let's talk about, let's give everybody an idea, give some examples of some of the things you do. If you were giving ideas of all the things that you've done, give us some of that.
So real quick, I just want to clarify something real quick. When I use the term people want to be with me and all that, that's my coach speaking to me. Because when I tell her I don't want to make my phone calls and I say, I don't know why I can't make my phone calls today, she says, Kevin, people want to talk to you. And that's your mindset. You have to, before you get in there, you have to look in front of the mirror and say, I'm Kevin Kendrick. People want to talk to me. And that's, right. So that I want to make sure people say, that's why I said people want to be around me. That's not me I don't want that to be viewed the wrong way. I think there are enough national holidays that you can theme something. We would do something once a month in our community. We also do stuff with the schools and the hospitals. And so something simple. Probably the coolest thing we ever did was we did a glow stick party. We got a DJ, and let me tell you what, glow sticks are cheap. You can get probably 2,000 glow sticks for $100 on Amazon. We rented a neighborhood DJ who did it for us because we did 2 neighborhoods, and we had a winter glow stick jam. And we cleared out, we have a gazebo in our neighborhood. We cleared out the gazebo, so kids were dancing, parents were dancing, and we brought people together. Oh, you have pictures of our glow stick jam. And so,
yes.
And on average, we have between, the majority of our events, we have between 50 and 75 families that come to all of our events. The neat thing about that is we have a photo booth, but the neat thing is that we have, I would say over the course of 12 months, we probably capture between 25 to 35% of the entire community that comes to our events. Now, everyone gets a touch, so they still get invited. But that's the Winter Glow Stick Jam. We've done pumpkin painting. We've done pancakes. Pancakes are very cheap. Pancakes on the green. We have done donuts. We've done, oh gosh, we did a Star Wars, May the 4th be with you. So we did it on May 4th, which was really cool.
Got a question for you.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in the age of Corona, how do you do this?
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, this is all pre-COVID. So this is just ideas. So, but ironically, we have to shift, okay? So here's something that we've done since. We did Zoom bingo. So we had a Cinco de Mayo party with a bunch of teachers, and we did bingo. All right, and we had bingo. Can I stop real quick, Debbie?
Yes.
So one of my former students from 1996 is here, Kira Harris, Sunny Harris, and she's coming to us live from Atlanta, and she's a Keller Williams agent in Atlanta.
I love it.
Two or three years ago, I told Kira all about Keller Williams, and she's a top agent up in Atlanta. So thank you for coming.
You're very welcome. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. So sorry, I had to get stopped. So, but now we do things with Zoom. Now we're doing just things, we're getting ready to roll out our, what we're gonna be doing in September and October. So we've done pumpkin painting in the past. Well, this year we may not be able to do pumpkin painting where all the kids and the families come together. So we've talked about having kits so that they still sign up. It's still the Kendrick name, it's still the Kendrick team brand, but now we might be delivering the pumpkin kits to the home so that the families can do it at home. So now we're just trying, we've just gotta find alternate ways. I could still do Zoom bingo, not Zoom bingo. I could still do bingo on our field, because we have the speaker system and the microphones. And now it's not about bingo. It's about what prizes are you giving away. 5 games of bingo lasts about 60 minutes. Okay. So if you give everyone 10 games, that's 2 hours. And if you have some amazing prizes, people will come for free stuff. That's one thing we've learned. So.
Yes, and so I think that is really important because we are definitely going to talk about the changes and the shift. And one thing I want to make sure I mention this at the beginning is you've built this team and had huge growth in spite of the pandemic. So your team, of course, you started as just you. And like you said, you were kind of, as a teacher, you were closing $1 million maybe. Now you are on track to close 30 million, which was a huge, quick growth, especially once you got into real estate full time. Talk a little bit about your team, because a lot of people may be thinking, oh my gosh, how would I ever do this? What does your team look like right now as far as size? Because I think that's important to know as well.
So we are officially a team of 6, and I just hired my new MAPS coach, so she counts. So she's 7. So I mainly work with listings. Occasionally I'll work with buyers, but I'm trying to just push all of that away. But I work with the listings. My wife is licensed, and she works more on the listing, staging, customer prep. Like, she'll go into the homes to get them ready. She'll work with the photographer, the videographer, and do all of that. So that's one of the services we offer. We offer design declutter. Yesterday, when we were on a listing appointment, the guy said, hey, how much does that cost? Additional cost. I should have said $1,000, but it's part of our service. And so then we have our admin, Faith, that we just brought on board. And then we have 3 licensed buyer's agents. One of those is full-time, Richard. He's a machine. He's like the Terminator. And then we have 2 that are part-time. Astrid is slowly transitioning into the buyer's agent role. She did our transaction coordinating work for a few months until we brought on Faith. And then Alex Bennett, who is a teacher at Lake Nona High School, he works with us in a part-time role, but he's already killing it. He's been in the business for July. He's already been in the business since July, and he's already had 2 closings, and he's got 2 or 3 more coming up this month. So he's off to an amazing start, and he says he's staying in education, but we'll see.
Yeah, so it's really what I know of your business is really, it's mostly been you and one other agent, you and Richard, until this new growth where you added your admin and added Alex. And so it's really been you and Richard who really got into over the 20s, and now you're bringing on people and getting additional leverage as agents. Now I know your wife is so instrumental in your business as well,
Right.
but as far as the agents, it's been you and Richard. So why that's important is because your profit margin, I mean, it's all at the end of the day, all about profit margin. And because of how you've set up your team, your profit margins are really high. And that's one thing because you're talking about all these events. So I want to talk about how you're paying for all of this, how you're leveraging it, and about your profit, because I think that's so important.
Yeah. So here's, if there's a takeaway for today, regardless of how you do your farming. Okay. Now, when I started farming, I wasn't selling real estate. Okay. I was a licensed real estate agent. So this part's important. You have to ask people for money for your events. And you may say, Kevin, I haven't sold any real estate. Then you find a lender or a title company that's willing to invest in you. And that's what I did. Is when we first started, I asked for $50 from a lender, from a title company, from an insurance agent, my inspector. I asked for $50. And if you're a veteran agent, and let's just say you're closing 15 deals a year, and you go to ask these people, because you say, hey, I want to do this event, can you give me $200? And they say no, then they just told you you're not important. Okay. I'm sitting in my lender's office right now. I could go across the hall and say, to my lender, hey, lender, we want to do this amazing event. Can I put you down for $500, or is $1,000 better? And he'll think about it, and he'll say yes to one of those 2 numbers. Okay. And obviously we've gotten to that point with our business, but we don't give the option to say no. Okay. So when we ask for money, we say, hey, Debbie, we've got this amazing event. This is what we're going to do. Yada, yada, yada. Can I put you down for $100, or is $200 better? Do you see what I did there? How do you think I got my wife to marry me? I didn't say, hey, do you want to go out to dinner on Friday night? I said, no. Do you want to go out to dinner on Friday night, or is Saturday night better?
And she said, yeah.
She didn't have a choice. She had to say one or the other. So we don't do that. We ask, and don't sell yourself short that it has to be in the real estate industry. If whether it's you're going to the same restaurants, whether you're going to, you're promoting your dentist, or you're promoting an orthodontist, or a chiropractor, or a steam cleaner, everybody has money, and they all want to invest in you. Okay. So when we've done stuff with schools, I've gone to my dentist. I've referred, I've gotten money from our orthodontist that we don't even, our kids didn't go to this orthodontist. He just happens to be the best orthodontist, so we refer him. I've gotten gift cards from restaurants that we frequent. You know, I let the managers and the owners of restaurants know that we're there, because it's important. Like if I were to call up the general manager at Marlowe's Tavern right now and say, hey, Joel, we're going to be doing this amazing event. I need $5 $50 gift cards. I don't even have to give him the option. He just says, yeah, because he sees the value that we bring to him and the value that we're going to bring. So we do chip in for some of our events. Some, you know, sometimes there's a gap, but more times than not, we're asking for people to sponsor these events. And that's just a skill set that I think it's confidence to ask. But if you're referring the same people, you know, to the same lender, to the same title company, to the same insurance agent, to the same home inspector, you have to ask, because if not, then they love you because you're never asking for money.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons why I always say, you know, my lender and my title company, yeah, we give them a lot of money, but the other agents don't ask them for anything.
Yeah.
So it's easy for them to tell us yes, because no one else is asking for money.
Yes. Yeah. So ask. It's just like asking for business. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned one thing I want to dive a little bit more into is you mentioned schools, and we talked yesterday about hospitals and some of the groups that you really dive deep and do all these different events. And we talked about it almost being shift proof, or because of the pandemic, it's been able to keep your business going. Talk about that a little bit, because I think that's really important in the conversation.
Yeah, so we don't just farm, we do farm our neighborhood, but we also farm schools. And we've also done some events at the hospital, the Morse Children's Hospital. And then we really haven't done anything with the sheriff's office, but other than give them our Topgolf card. But let's talk about schools. You know, guess who has a job during the pandemic? Teachers, nurses, sheriffs, police officers. They all have jobs. They're not necessarily recession proof, but they are pandemic proof because they're all working. And so because we've invested so much into our teachers, I want to say since spring break, we closed 4 teachers and 1 principal. And when you take, you know, and I know I'll tell people, you know, hey, because some people will say, well, teachers, they don't make a lot of money. No, but sometimes their husbands do, or sometimes their wives do. We sold a $650,000 home to one of the local media specialists. Can't help it that her husband's an engineer, you know? So, but you know what? It all adds up. So I don't care if a teacher buys a $250,000 house or they buy a $700,000 home. It's a transaction. And if we do our job, that's an extension of our farming, because they're going to tell their other friends. So, you know, we invest in our schools. In fact, I was emailing one of the principals today and I said, hey, this is what we want to do. Is it best to do it in the morning or lunch? And can we actually hand it out? Because with COVID, I asked, can we hand it out? And he's, you know, so long story short, we're going to be back in the schools in 2 weeks, and we're going to do Chick-fil-A, and we're going to provide, haven't decided if we're going to do breakfast or lunch, but we're going to provide it for the teachers. I just think that's one of the things. And you got to do little giveaways, you know, because teachers aren't going to give you their information for free. They're not going to say, oh, hey, Kevin, yeah, I'm going to buy a house in 10 months. Let me give you my cell phone number and email address. They're not going to do that. So we have little cards that they fill out, and we do a drawing, whether it's for a gift card to a restaurant or we do something else. And then we have them circle. And it circles if they want information on buying a home, selling a home, refinancing, or homeowners insurance. Well, guess who sponsors our breakfast? Our title company, our lenders, and our insurance companies. So if anyone wants to sell a home, obviously I'm calling them. If they want to refinance, we give them straight to the lender. If they want to insurance, go straight to the insurance company. If it goes to the buyer, it goes straight to Richard just logged in, or at least he just turned on his camera. And so we now have their information. And if they circle, we are going to call them.
Yes.
If they don't circle, we're not going to harass them. But we might send them an email letting them know we're coming on campus for the next event. But we actually have right now, and Richard might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, we have 1 teacher listed that's closing soon. We got another teacher that's buying that's closing soon. We probably have 2 or 3 teachers under contract right now.
Yes. And you not only have teachers, I mean, you're at all of the sporting events. I mean, I know my kids go to some of the schools that you farm and belong to. And it's funny because you're always passing out shirts and we giggle of like, should we put a shirt on? Why not? It's a free shirt. But I mean,
get a Kendrick team shirt.
passing out Lake Nona, Lake Nona Lions t-shirts at a football game. Guess what people are putting on? Guess what's on the, I believe it was on the back. It could have been the front, but the Kendrick team is all over it. It's free advertising and it was probably cheap for you. So it's not only that, you are thoroughly involved. And you made a comment to me of like, Teachers Appreciation Week, everybody does that. We don't even do that week because every realtor does that. You are there at all turns. And I think it's important for people to understand that just happens to be your pool of people. You could move the same concepts to your softball team, your church, whatever music group. Like you can move this concept to anything. You just have to go really deep and be willing to talk to people and spend time with people and give value. You're not just going into the teachers, give me your business. You are constantly providing value.
And I'll add on the t-shirt thing. Before Richard came on board with us, I was content just wearing a regular polo or a button-down shirt on a regular day. And even though I knew we've developed our name, but I wear either a Kendrick team or a Lake Nona logoed shirt pretty much every day now, because I want to be associated with one of two things, either our business or Lake Nona, whether it's Lake Nona High School, Eagle Creek. When I work out at the gym, I'm usually wearing the t-shirts that the principals give me, or that we ordered for the math team or for the chess club or something like that. So you are your brand. I'm not a big Grant Cardone fan, but Grant Cardone is all about building your brand, and you are your brand. So no matter where you go, Damone from our office, he said, "Hey, I met your handyman." I said, "Oh, how'd you get Mike?" He goes, "He was wearing your t-shirt." I go, "That's Mike." And I told him, I said, "I need to give him the new logo." But my man Mike, he wears our t-shirts everywhere he goes.
Yes. So I've pulled up a couple things because I want to show some examples of how you can get branding so cheap to go so far. So what event was this, Kevin, that you've got this little photo booth here?
So this was at one of the high school football games, which we know is going to look a little different this year. But I think one of the things you have to ask, it's no different than asking for business. Like I'm going to either lunch or breakfast with the athletic director at Lake Nona High School this Friday. So we can talk about what high school sports is going to look like and our involvement. And so I just asked him, I said, "Hey, can we set up a photo booth? Can we give out free stuff? Can we do all this stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, whatever you can do to improve school spirit." So we set up the photo booth and people would come to the photo booth. We gave out free t-shirts. People could sign in to win, a bay at Top Golf or a gift card to Marlowe's Tavern or Nona Blue. And they love, there were times, because I think Richard's still on here. And so, there were times that the photo booth was slow. And then there were also times that we had a line at the photo booth. But people would take this and they post it on and share it on their social media.
Well, yeah, you have it branded, and I noticed hundreds of pictures I could have pulled from on your website. And the thing is, people love these, especially kids these age have parents that want to buy. So it's amazing when they're sharing these all around. It's all branded, yet it's pretty, and people took the most fun pictures. So they're going to share that. And I know that was your glow party. Let's talk. You mentioned Marlowe. So not only are you in the community with the schools and hospitals, you're also doing an interview show in a local restaurant. And of course, this was you guys recent. So talk about Monday at Marlowe's. Hopefully I said that right.
So we started doing, so Joel is who you see on the left, and Joel's actually one of my neighbors. So Richard's asking if I called you the Terminator. I called you the Terminator in regards to we can't stop you. We can only hope to contain you. You're doing an amazing job. So hopefully that came across as the right way. But Joel, so I run a Facebook page in Lake Nona. We've got about 12,000 people on the Facebook page. And because we're all about community, I was like, hey, what's another way we can add value to the community? Well, it's by building up our businesses. And so once a week, it's no longer on Mondays, but we'll go and we will, I interview different businesses. And so, you know, and I don't ask for anything from the businesses, but a lot of times what ends up happening is, wow, Kevin, this was amazing. We got X amount. We'd love to give you a gift card, which then we're just turning around and raffling off. You know, so we did it. I did it. I interviewed probably 45 people in 2019, from our city council member to our state representative to different restaurant and local people. And we did it every Monday. And this year we've kind of taken obviously a shift. So this one was done recently where and Joel was the first one where we came back and we interviewed and we had our masks on, because as restaurants were reopening, we wanted people to you know, feel comfortable or safe going back. And, you know, some people will say, you know, you shouldn't be encouraging that. But at the same time, I also believe that, you know, as a community, not everyone cooks. Joel has a restaurant to run. If Joel's business shuts down, that's 30, 40 people that are out of work. And I like Joel and I like Marlowe's Tavern. So we promote him and we promote some of the other restaurants, but those are places that we frequent, that we go to.
And again, it's providing value. I mean, you've interviewed anywhere from Melissa Ragu.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like you said, councilmen. So all different interests across the board, and especially people right in our community. I mean, again, this is going deeper by providing value. People are going to know your name over and over again. So I think these are so important. And one more really important thing I want to show is, of course, let me move my screen here, is the Narcoossee News. So you have this Facebook page that I think is instrumental of getting your name out there and getting the trust and providing value to the community. Narcoossee, just so you guys know, is the main road that runs right through Lake Nona, St. Cloud, which is the communities that he mainly works. Talk about this a little bit. Notice the members, guys. Look how many members, and it's so active. I mean, as soon as you get a post, it's going to get buried. Like, it's amazing. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so this actually started off as an anti-Walmart page, and my dentist wife, Jana Osland, actually started it. She created it as a no Walmart in Lake Nona. So, but as soon as like it got 1,000 members, people got what's the word? People were now spamming, they're promoting their other stuff on there. So I said, hey, I'll help you run the page. And then fast forward, probably 4 years later, I think they would agree with it. I probably do about 85 to 90% of the page. It's kind of shifted a little bit. I used to be for every 10 posts, I probably put 5 of the 10 up there. And so now it's, well, it's funny. We actually deleted that post today. So I know this is an old post. we had some, every once in a while, we'll get some rude comments. But, you know, the very first thing that you usually see at the top are the rules, which says Kevin Kendrick. I'm still promoting. I probably get 2 out of the 10 posts. So that's what, 20% of the posts are coming from Kevin Kendrick. So that just means they see it on a regular basis, that they see my name. And it's just one of those things. We went on a listing appointment yesterday, Richard and I, and the lady had no clue about Narcoossee News or about us, but the husband did. And you know, that says a lot when we're able to go into listing appointments. And if we mention it, because there's only about 22,000, 23,000 people in Lake Nona. So there's a good chance they're on this page and they know me from this page. We also do a lot of school magnets that we didn't do it this year. We would do college football and we would do the school calendar on the magnet. And those were amazing because all the elementary schools gave them away. That's the one thing that I paid for. And we would go into listing appointments and I was always excited to go to the refrigerator because if we were on there, I knew we were 95% of the time, if our magnet was on the refrigerator, we were getting the listing.
Yes.
And so, you know, it's just one of those things, being front of mind. And so that when people see you, and it's something that both my wife and I have had to get accustomed to, is we've gone to restaurants and we've had people come up and say, are you Kevin Kendrick or are you Yvette Kendrick? You know, just because of our name and our branding. And, you know, and I say that with all humility because we never expected that would be like part of what our life would look like in 2020. You know, when we started this in 2016, we were just content selling $10 million a year. And, you know, God had bigger plans. And so we've had to learn how to go to restaurants and have people come up and introduce themselves to us. And that's very flattering. You know, it's very humbling. It's very flattering. But I'll say this, one thing about farming, and it's like that, what's that, the metrodome that goes back and forth? You got to do it every single day, because just as much as we've built our business, we can lose our business to the next agent that's coming up. So, you've heard me talk about being a man of faith. Hey, God's given us a lot, but guess what? It can also be taken away. We could lose it tomorrow. And, at the end of the day, that's one of the reasons why we just love people. So.
Yes. And it's so important to what you guys do, because just even in the pandemic, you may have had to make a few more phone calls than you really like to take, because I know you're not a phone person. You'd rather be in front of people.
Face-to-face, yeah.
And I know Richard also, like, his relationships, and you provide amazing service. So yes, you do all of these things on the front end, but I always see your reviews and Richard's reviews, and people absolutely adore you because you go above and beyond. So it's not just about those things, you also follow through. So that's the other thing of how you can make that explode. If you're doing all of this on the front end to impress, but yet you're not providing the service that you're supposed to, that's not going to work. So I think that's so important. Talk to me as we wrap up, and I'm going to make sure we have plenty of time, at least 15 minutes for questions. Talk to me a little bit about what's next, because we talked about some relo and some other things that are coming around because of those relationships. What's next?
Honestly, that's why I hired the coach, so she can guide us through that.
Yeah.
But our growth has happened very quickly, to the point, I think 2 months ago, I was in your office and I'm like, oh my God, Debbie, what do I do? Just because we've seen what our closings are looking like. And so, for us, as far as what's next, I mean, we really want to continue to solidify those relationships that we have, in our neighborhoods, in our schools. I think one of the key elements that we're missing, that I know other teams that farm well, that we've created relationships with, is the follow-up after the event, or maybe the pre-event, whereas we were always door hangers and Facebook promoting. Now we have we hired Faith and our admin, and she's going to be able to help out in that category. But following up the 75 families that came to the event, and get on the phone with them and thank them for coming, and if there's anything we can do to help them. So I think that's an element that we haven't done. We know that it's missing. But I think that's something that's just going to make it stronger. Everything that we've done pre-event and event. There hasn't really been a lot of post as far as our farming events go, because we just figured we're going to do it again and again and again and again. And so they're just going to see us. But, how cool would it be that after we do our next event, we're now on the phone with everyone that came, that filled out a little card to win something, and they didn't win, but we're still calling them, thanking them for coming, and letting them know what's next. So what's next for us? Only God knows. But if you would have told me in March, for those of y'all, Debbie in March said, we need to meet, let's talk numbers. And I said, I don't want to talk numbers, because I knew COVID was happening and I didn't want to talk numbers with her. And, Richard's on our call. He's our buyer's agent. And Richard's always, during this whole thing, he said, we've got this. And it's probably around May that I was like, oh my God, we're actually going to, we're getting back on track. And our goal at the beginning of the year was 100 transactions for $30 million. And that's really, just he and I doing that. And we're going to finish the year probably around 105, 110, and we'll probably finish closer to 35 million. And I didn't want to look at it. I was just like, it's just going to be a bad year. But we kept doing what we've been doing is, Richard loves working the phones, and since I couldn't do face-to-face, I'd do Zoom calls. We'd go outside and hang out with our neighbors, and, so make those relationships even stronger. So, yeah.
And I know you're extending into other communities. You went small to go big. You made sure and nailed the farming in your community, and now you're taking that same concept, because naturally people are moving to other locations, and now you're moving it to additional neighborhoods. So the point is, start small and nail that, and then go to that next community with the model that you've built.
Yeah, it says my internet connection is unstable. So we started in our section of North Lake Park. North Lake Park has 4 neighborhoods. So we started with about 200 homes, And then we went to the next one, which had another 200. And then we went to the whole neighborhood. And then sometime in, I don't know, February, March of last year, we started farming Richard's neighborhood as well. And so we just signed, we got a listing going in there to Thursday, and then we've got another listing that they just signed today. So, you know, the farming part, it's being front of mind. We want them to call us. We want them to say, oh yeah, Richard Abar, Kevin Kendrick, or Yvette Kendrick, or Alex Bennett. And we want them to keep us front of mind, not, oh, hey, yeah, let's go. I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to go talk to Joe Blow in Windermere. Oh no, you got to talk to the neighborhood specialist. So.
Yeah. People raving fans, they're the ones selling you, so to speak. You don't have to do that. So a couple comments, you'll love this, is Carlene and Curtis said, Kevin is a genius at this. The Kendrick team has worked hard at this and deserve all the blessings that they reap. Of course, your wife, Yvette, said, that's right, God is good. So I love it, some of these. So I want to open it up to questions to make sure that we have time. And if we have time, just want to talk about this a little bit, this book we have here, Robert Burke. But let's go ahead and open it up to questions. I hope you guys can unmute yourself. Go ahead, ask questions for Kevin. Go ahead.
So Kevin, this is Steve. So how many touches in a new in a neighborhood that you're working? How many times a year do you kind of target? Does it kind of just flow with more with the calendar of of different activities going on in the thing, or do you try to hit 3 times a year, 4 times a year, once a month?
From October 2015 all the way up until COVID, we were doing something once a month in our neighborhood. The schools we do every other month. The school year is 10 months long, so we would do 6 times. So we would do August, October, December, and then January, March, May. And the old adage of Teacher Appreciation Week is usually last week of April, first week of May. We always don't do it then. We would either do something beforehand or afterwards, because that's when, mysteriously all the real estate agents would show up at Teacher Appreciation Week. So, and by then we've already been there 5 times. So most of them would say, oh yeah, I want to buy a house. Oh, great, I want to sell you a house. Oh no, Kevin's my real estate agent, or Richard's my real estate agent. And so, but we would do, in the neighborhood, we would do monthly.
All right, we have a question here. It looks like from Benny or Ben. Do you have an admin who plans all of these events out? And how many admins do you have?
So I've had an admin for about 3.5 weeks now.
Yes.
My wife and I, from 2015 all the way up until 2019, we did it ourselves. Richard came on board in 2019. And even then, Richard was part admin, I was part admin, and Yvette was part admin. And we had a transaction coordinator that we hired virtually. So most of the ideas, honestly, I mean, some of them I just come up with, and like we were sitting on the beach when COVID happened. My wife wanted a day at the beach, and Teacher Appreciation Week was coming up, and we knew no one was doing anything for Teacher Appreciation Week. And we already did our event for March. And I said, what if we did Zoom bingo? And then I texted 2 of the principals in Lake Nona, and they're like, that'd be great. So we ended up doing a drive-by pickup at Dunkin' Donuts, where they got free donuts, they got a bingo card, and then we had happy hour bingo that night. I just got, and my wife will come up with some ideas. Richard's come up with some ideas. Alex, got a few ideas that he's working on now. And so we just come up with them, and then you just got to run with them. And, there's not a lot of events that we did that we wouldn't do again. Obviously COVID's changed some things. So now you just tweak it, you modify. Instead of bringing everyone to you, maybe it's us delivering stuff to people and letting them know that we still want to be doing events. There's a lot of things you can do through Zoom. We did the Zoom bingo. You could have a Zoom happy hour. You could have a Zoom customer appreciation event. So, and by the way, all of our community events, we would invite our previous customers to, even if they didn't live in the Lake Nona area. But they would come, surprisingly. They would come to the movie nights, the pumpkin painting, and things like that. So, but yeah.
2 quick more questions on here. We have a couple people wanting to know where you got the stretchy tablecloths. I don't know if you know where those came from.
I don't, but go on Amazon. I will say we paid more than we probably should have, because a lot of times you go through a printer or a designer, and you're going through the middleman. which means you're getting it marked up. And so we got it marked up. I would say go to Amazon or just Google it, and you probably go straight through the person and get it a lot cheaper. After we ordered them and I found out how much we were paying versus how much they were for online, I wasn't happy, but it's too late.
Lesson learned. All right, we had 2 people that asked you about your events for in hospitals. What are you doing there? What have you done there?
So, I mean, nothing major. Obviously with COVID, you can't do anything because you can't really step foot. So we just, here's the downside. Nurses Appreciation Week is the same week as Teacher Appreciation Week. So we just happen to live in a neighborhood where one of the nurses works the 3rd floor of the NIC unit. And she asked us a year ago or 2 years ago, can you guys do lunch? And so we've literally just brought lunch. And then of course they all filled out a form and we all got, whether they wanted to call us or, or wanted to buy a house. And, a lot of them, they've been put on, I wouldn't use the word a spam list because we don't really send out like a spam mail, but we've just stayed in contact and we listed the head nurse over at the 3rd floor of the NIC unit, and then we've sold a home to one of the nurses, and then another one is just very, she knows our engagement in the community. So when there's a need, she's come to us and say, hey, can you do X, Y, Z, or can you buy some gift cards for our nurses, as a giveaway or something like that. So it's nurses and teachers and police officers, they all love free stuff, okay? And you don't have to buy a $50 gift card to Dunkin' Donuts when a $5 gift card will do, And so I got caught up in, we got to give in fact, when the Nona tap room used to be open, I used to go to Lindsay all the time, and she'd like, do you want a $50 gift card or a $100 gift card? And I'm like, all they're going to do is just sit there and drink. So why don't you just give me $10 gift cards? That gets them at least 1 beer, and then they got to go somewhere else. Or not somewhere else, they're going to order more. So, for me, it's always been about, okay, now we can't be on campus or we can't be in the hospital, but there's still ways that we can engage.
Love it. So Kyle asked a longer question. So Kyle, I'm probably going to have you ask that question up front. I love that you mentioned the tap room. We got a couple of people who miss our tap room.
Miss it.
Jackie Milan said, how do you present the form or card? Do they do it before you bring the lunch? So that must be with gift cards and things.
So as they're going through the line, it's just a little, it's like a 3x5 card that we printed out with our logo. It says name, email address, cell phone number at the top. We provide the pins. And as they're walking by, we say, hey, we're doing a giveaway for a free bay at Topgolf for 2 hours for you and your friends, or a $50 gift card to Nona Blue, or $25 gift card to Marlowe's Tavern. People like free stuff. On the Narcoossee News page, I collected probably like $4,000 worth of gift cards and free stuff in literally 24, 48 hours. And because we couldn't go into the schools this year for pre-plan, because it was a bunch of unknown, we did it all virtually. And teachers were so ecstatic that they were winning prizes, whether it was a gift card to a restaurant, free membership at a gym. And, it's teachers like free stuff. But once again, going back to leverage, talk to the restaurant owners, go to the restaurants that you frequent. We frequent a lot of the same restaurants, so it's easier for me to go to Graffiti Junction and say, hey, Stacy, we want to do this amazing event. Can you do a burger and a beer for $5 or $6 or $7, whatever we do? And they're either going to say yes, or they're going to say no, or they're going to give me a different price. They're not going to turn away. Business. And when you get your business to, the level that we have, they also see the value that we bring to them. So if they know we're going to invite 100 teachers to Graffiti Junction for a burger and a beer, Graffiti Junction's going to say yes, and I don't say that, Debbie will vouch. I promote Graffiti Junction a lot, and we've helped we've helped their business, but they've helped us with ours. It's a give and take.
Yes, and I see Richard's giving us a note. Richard Abar, I see him here. What was your little note saying there, Richard? Now I'm calling you out. What you got? Speak up. Curtis wants to know too.
It was the cards that he was talking about that someone asked what the cards look like. I had a bunch of them on my desk, but they look like this pretty much. It's just name, email, phone number, and then the bottom just says buy a home, refinance, sell a home, homeowners insurance.
Love it. Love it. You're probably making those calls and following up with those people, I'm guessing, for one of the events. That's pretty awesome. All right. Yes, the amazing Richard Abar. Hey, Kyle, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
So for me, who's a little bit newer, who's not really like so out there, who I wouldn't necessarily be doing events, but I was thinking about like doing maybe like a blast. I've been experimenting a lot with like social media, and should I like try to like concentrate on like a smaller area? Because right now I just do like all of Orlando, like all of it, and I'm trying to figure out how I can make that a little bit better.
So that's a great question. In 2019, I went to family reunion for the first time. And the one thing that Gary Keller hit more than anything was you want to be the hyper local expert in your community. So we don't venture too far out as far as listings go from the Lake Nona, South Orlando area. We will from time to time, but it's hard to be an expert for all of Orlando, you know? So Kyle, where do you live at? Like what part of town? Pardon?
In Kissimmee, like right outside of Orlando.
So like Kissimmee, Poinciana, or Kissimmee, St. Cloud?
Poinciana.
Poinciana. So I would, you know, Poinciana is growing and growing fast. I would create a Facebook page that has something to do with, you know, some, you know, happenings, whether it's community events or whatever. Guess what? You're the real estate agent, so you get to approve the posts. And so when real estate agents, as you grow it, and real estate agents want to promote their open houses, you hit delete because they're not going to promote that stuff on your page. I get real estate agents try to post on my page all the time. And I'm like, if I don't promote my business, you don't get to promote yours. But I would focus where you live, focus what you know, because you want to be the hyper local expert. You want to be Kyle Parker, the Kissimmee, Poinciana king of real estate. And we're not the top agents in Lake Nona, but we're technically we're not working towards it, but we've created a good reputation for ourselves. So I wouldn't go all over. Like, even in a good example, Poinciana. I mean, I told Richard once, I said, man, we ain't never driving there again. That's like an hour. I don't want to sell a home there. And so Kyle, you can be my new referral partner. But yeah, I would focus and be the hyper local expert. In fact, on my listing appointment this morning, they interviewed 3 agents. I was the third. They interviewed someone from Oviedo, someone from UCF, and me. And the home is in North St. Cloud. So 10 minutes from the office. And I asked them, I said, well, what could they tell you? Before we even talked about the house, I asked, well, what could they tell you about the community in Lake Nona? And they said they couldn't. And I said, exactly why you need a hyper local expert to sell your home. And we spent the next 30 minutes talking, a conversation between the 3 of us, how we were going to sell their home in St. Cloud. They already made up their mind as soon as I said that. And then when they hit me up for 4% commission, I told them no. So
hey,
they said
that's a whole another session there for objection. Yeah. I love it.
They said the other agent said they'd give them 4%. I said, yeah. I said, you were testing my negotiating skills. And so I will not do it for 4%, but I'm also going to bring top dollar to the table for your home.
There you go. Know your value. All right. We are ending. I did put Kevin's email in the chat. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Kevin, if you get hit up, but I wanted to make sure we had some referrals out there so they could go ahead and send those to you as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you learned a lot. I know I always do every time Kevin speaks. Thank you guys, especially to our Orlando Lake Nona people, for showing up and showing your support. Thank you, Kevin. We really appreciate you. Hello to Yvette if she's on too. I didn't see her, but
I will. Thank you everybody for coming. Kira, thank you for coming all the way from Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You said you want to talk about the book?